Hello and welcome to another episode of the Daily Chat Podcast, where we talk about all things awesome and nerdy. Guys, today is a special episode because, first of all, it's the 50th episode.
Whoa!
Yay! Second of all, I got my good friend Kelsey Lane joining us today. Kelsey, first time on the podcast. Welcome.
Yay! Thank you. Oh my gosh, congratulations on 50 episodes.
Yeah, thank you. It only took me 2 years.
Well, yeah, that makes sense.
I have officially, but there's 52 weeks in a year.
There you go.
At any rate, we're going to be talking about something that we tried talking about on this podcast a little while ago, and we're going to revisit this concept again. Something that is actually incredibly nerdy, and another thing people don't really think of it too often, and no, not sports, which we've already done. We're actually talking about music this time around. Kelsey, you and I are actually pretty big music fans, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Why don't you first off tell the audience, because I know you play the guitar and everything like that, why don't you go off and first tell the people at home your musical influences, what got you to want to play the guitar and things like that.
I don't know. I think it was like middle school, and I was like, I just want to be cool. So then I picked up the guitar, and I taught myself how to play it. So pretty much the same reason everyone picks up the guitar. Exactly.
Except for when guys pick up the guitar, we're just trying to get laid.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly.
But at any rate, so... I grew up in middle school. I learned how to play bass guitar, and the only reason why anyone really learns how to play bass guitar is because nobody else in the band wants to.
Yeah.
But, don't really play it as much as I used to, but still have a fondness for it, and I try to go to concerts as often as humanly possible.
Yeah.
I don't go to as many as I want. I usually end up going anywhere between like 5 to 10 a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, which... Not as many as I would like, but what can you do? Concerts are expensive, especially for the bands I want to go see. So.
Yeah, seriously. I used to go to shows all the time when I was younger, like middle school, high school. It was like every weekend I'd be at a new show.
Yeah.
But obviously as an adult, it's like,
I have responsibilities now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There are so many better ways to, like, spend your time. And unfortunately, in a career like ours, it's like every minute is precious.
Exactly, yeah. And it's also the mere fact, though, too, concerts kind of happen at the same time we want to do shows. So
yeah, exactly.
They're both very nocturnal careers. So.
Yeah, seriously.
But at any rate, so we wanted to talk about something a little bit more specific. I guess you could sometimes call them niche. We want to talk about the nerdier side of music in particular. Now, I think you and I have two very different definitions of nerdy rock, or at the very least slightly different. Why don't you tell everybody at home yours first?
Yeah, there is like a genre of music that's just like nerd music, and within the nerd music there are subculture, there's subgenres of like everything. So if you love folk music, there is nerd folk. If you love hip hop, there's nerdcore. Right. Like there is like nerd music is basically just like any music that nerd culture is talked about in it, as far as my understanding is.
Okay, so that's your definition of it. My definition of it is I don't necessarily disagree with that, but for me, it's not just references to nerd things, but also just something that can be truly overanalyzed as far as like music is concerned. Because you and I both know the most important thing to be a good musician is you got to know math. Yeah. So I'm not the greatest at math, but I appreciate it for what it is. And for me, it's just nerd music is just. I guess you could say bands that specialize in doing a lot of concept albums with a lot of chime signature changes work, like Coheed and Cambria. Yeah. I would consider that nerd music. Rush, I consider that nerd music. Led Zeppelin, The Who, seriously, because like those guys, like The Who, maybe not so much did a lot of math with their music, but they did like 2 or 3 concept albums, and both of them are considered to be seminal albums. And Led Zeppelin, they dealt with a lot of like time changes, as did Rush. In fact, Rush did a little bit of both because they had a few concept albums. So there is that, and for me also too, there are also bands that I know of that try to prog out on on video game music. There's a band called Armcannon I like to listen to, and they take like the Super Mario music and they just make it like a 10-minute arrangement and things like that. So. Yeah.
There's so much. I love something that that has that like video, like vintage video game sounds, like the 8-bit sort of sounds. I love that. There's I know bit pop, I think, is technically like stuff that it's like pop music with that like 8-bit sound to it.
Okay.
And there's also like Nintendo Core.
Nintendo Core
is like that like 8-bit sound combined with like heavy metal or like hardcore.
Okay.
So it's a really interesting sound.
Okay, that sounds pretty dope actually.
Right?
I'm actually trying to think here if there's a way where we can get a sound clip of what we're both trying to talk about in here. I think maybe I'll have to edit this part out later, but I think maybe what we can do is you can give me the names of some things. But let's check out the old YouTubes real quick and see what we can find. So, for example, name me a. I pull up YouTube 10 releases. Speaking of music, 10 releases coming to Netflix, and one of them is a picture of Eminem. Wait, was 8 Mile on Netflix?
On Netflix? I don't know.
I mean, I knew it was at one point. I don't know if it still is, but unless Eminem's coming out with a new movie coming out soon. But anyway, name me something that you were talking about, for example.
Like Horse the Band.
Horse the Band?
Yeah.
All right. Let's see what we got here. Horse the Band. What would be a good song? Lord Gold Throne Room?
What do you mean party's canceled, man? Hey, man, we gotta dump this thing, dude. Yo, man, you're tripping.
Okay. I'll provide a link to this music video in the, Hold on one second. I'm going to change the output so that way we can actually hear it coming through the speakers.
Yeah.
Output.
Where's the band? Like Mashing Samurai is a good one too for Nintendo Core. I just recently discovered Nintendo Core.
Nice.
I was like, this is a thing? Like,
give me 1 second here. Let's see what we got. Okay, so they got the synth going on. So that just, to me, sounds like they just took a sample of Super Mario and just put some sort of like Linkin Park stuff over it. Okay.
it's so interesting.
Okay, that's pretty good. I like that, actually. I'll have to check out more of this. So this is Horse the Band, and the name of the song is Lord Gold Throne Room. I don't know if we can play the whole thing, but let me show you the thing that got me into Armcannon. Their cover of the Ghostbusters theme song.
That's so dope.
Right? Wait for it. Hold on a second. Yeah, I think we can only play like so much of it before we're under scrutiny to get sued.
Yeah, I think like I don't know. I feel like technically any nerd music, it like songs that are about movies or TV or like books, I feel like that all sort of falls under like that nerd music genre.
So, would you actually say that Metallica's song "For Whom the Bell Tolls"? Would you argue that that's nerd music?
I don't know if I know that song.
All right, hold on 1 second.
Is it like directly about something? Like
it's based on the book "For Whom the Bell Tolls."
Oh.
For Whom the Bell Tolls. Let me go back to the preferences here. By Metallica.
Hi, Deadpool here, and you're inside one of my dreams.
Oh, great. I love advertisements on YouTube.
So
Sorry, I'm
necessary.
Deadpool.
Of course I am.
new Devour grilled cheese sandwiches.
Which, by the way, if you haven't listened to my review of the movie Deadpool 2, I highly recommend it, everybody. So go back and listen to that one.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'm pretty... Alright. I'm just gonna skip ahead a little bit till the lyrics start kicking in, because the intro is pretty long. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure it's based off the book with the same name, so...
Oh, okay.
I mean, what would you say is possibly the nerdiest stuff you listen to on a regular basis?
Harry and the Potters.
Harry and the Potters? Okay. You know what, I've actually never listened to Harry and the Potters. What are they all about? Are they just straight up, like... They just all about, like, Hogwarts and everything like that?
Yeah, Harry and the Potters, It was two brothers, and they created the genre wizard rock.
Wizard rock?
Like, all of these bands started forming because of them. So it was two brothers, and they decided they both dress as Harry Potter, and the deal is that they use a time turner to create a band with one another. So they're both Harry Potter, different years. So
wait, I'm sorry, I was pulling that up. So you mean to tell me that this is actually a band that has an origin story?
Yes.
like a comic booky origin story?
Yes. They sing from the perspective of Harry Potter for everything. They just like take different parts of the books and say like Human Hosepipe is about like his date with Cho Chang. So they just like
all right, let me check out a couple seconds of this real quick.
Thanks everybody for coming.
This is bootleg as all hell.
It's about the day that we found out we were a wizard. It was a really special day, a sort of coming of age event for us, like a wizard bar mitzvah or something.
Like our wizard bar mitzvah.
This is our drummer here, Bill Weasley. He's top level, so he will be tearing it up on the Skins tonight. Look out, people, he's hungry. He might like you.
I'm a lonely boy. I live beneath the staircase. My cousin is real fat. He makes my life a sad state. The Dursleys are my guardians. They are so mean and evil. If only I had some magic powers, surely I could make them tremble. I'm for a critic tribe. It's where I lay my head. I wish that I could go to another place instead.
Okay.
That's the perfect song to start off on.
Right, exactly.
You couldn't have picked a better one.
I'm not going to lie to you, I am not the biggest fan of Harry Potter, but I appreciate what they're doing here, and I'm pretty sure there's been some band out there, I think they were called Iced Earth or whatever, some metal band that did an rock opera concept album based around Star Wars.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Yeah, it is awesome. I mean, I'm just wondering, like, why we're not seeing more of this stuff coming into the mainstream. I mean, I get it. Everyone's all about that mumble rap now, which...
Yeah.
That actually kind of annoys me, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah.
I mean... But whatever, I don't control trends, so there's nothing I can really do about it. Have you seen any of these acts in concert?
Yeah, I've seen Harry and the Potters so many times. I would say, like, at least 10 times.
At least 10 times?
Yeah, because the first Harry and the Potters concert I ever went to, I think I was in, like, 6th or 7th grade. And I went to the very first Yule Ball. So they have a yearly show called the Yule Ball. And people dress up as wizards, and they go to this concert, and it's just like a bunch of wizard rock bands that play.
Okay, you know what? That sounds pretty dope. I would check that out.
It's so much fun.
Because the closest thing I've ever done to something like that would be my favorite band, Umphrey's McGee. They're a little jam band from Chicago area. They have an annual tradition on Halloween where they do mashups. They'll do mashup songs. So it's pretty much... This might not be the only time you get this kind of a song, but it's a rarity. So what they did for when I went to go see them was they they did this. They closed the first set with a song that was pretty much just a bunch of because I saw them in Boston do this.
Yeah.
And they did a mashup song that was pretty much just a collection of some of the greatest songs from the bands that came out of Boston. Oh. So like they threw in like a little bit of the Cars. They threw in, and of course they threw in some mostly Aerosmith. Mm-hmm. But they also threw in like a little bit, but they meshed the songs together. In fact, hold on, let me pull it up real quick.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Let me see, because I have the recording of that of that particular show. Hold on, where's my music? Umphrey's McGee. By the way, I really hope these bands appreciate this free promotion. And stuff I'm doing for them.
Right?
But another great thing that they do, though, is the band will actually do mesh-up costumes. So, for example, the keyboard player wore a number 24 Red Sox jersey, but a Superman cape on, and he was Super Manny Ramirez.
That's amazing.
But the best one was the bass player, and he wore a rabbi hat, but with a he wore just like your basic like button-down like pantsuit for women, and he was Hasidic Julia Roberts.
Oh my god.
Yeah, no, they go all out. I mean,
that's so funny.
And then the guitar player went as Devo Schneider. Yeah. Oh no, they go all out. They go all out for where to go. Milwaukee, no, that's not the one I'm looking for. Northampton, no. No. Why didn't I just narrow this down to Boston? Because duh. Not that Boston show. Not that Boston show. Get warmer. This Boston show, yeah. Walk this sweet funk emotion.
Oh, it's a mashup.
Yeah. Give it 1 second, hold on. Yeah, they do that live. In fact, they even came out with a whole album of them doing of all their mashups, which was pretty good, but it was also one of those things where it's like, why couldn't you have just like written an entirely new album? But anyway, it's whatever. I've seen these guys over, I think, almost 40 times now at this point.
Yeah.
And the real irony is, though, my dad's a deadhead, and I used to give him guff because he said he saw them like 200 times or whatever when he was a kid.
Oh, wow.
Which is minor league compared to a lot of deadheads, but
yeah.
Now it's like I've flown to Buffalo from Providence to see those guys.
Yeah.
And by the way, if you've ever been to Buffalo and someone says, let's go, really make sure it's a reason to go. Just the weekend we went wasn't a great... We went Halloween weekend, or the weekend before Halloween one time, and it just wasn't a great weekend. It was just rainy and everything like that. So check the weather before you go to Buffalo.
Yeah. Oh, you flew to Buffalo.
Yeah,
Why didn't you just drive?
What?
Why didn't you just drive from Providence to New York? That's not long.
That's upstate New York. That's way upstate New York. That would be like a 12-hour car ride.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh. I was just thinking New York City, and I was like, oh, that's probably
Buffalo.
around there somewhere.
Buffalo, New York. Yeah, New York City I would have driven. I have driven to see Umphrey's McGee in New York City before, so it was a lot easier to do it, too, when I had a brother and sister living there, but now sister moved back to Providence, brother now lives in Los Angeles with me, so...
Wow.
Yeah, exactly.
How many hours is it from New York City to Buffalo? Like, drive?
That's like a day's drive.
Oh, wow.
That's like a day drive.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
I don't know why. I think that... I always just thought that New York was kind of small.
New York State?
Yeah.
Have you looked at a map, girl? Like...
Yes! But California is so big, and I've driven from, like, Northern California to Southern California so many times.
I mean, I don't think it's as big as California, but look at the size of it, though.
Like from what? Oh yeah,
That is
that's
New York
true.
State, right? I mean, it's not as big as
it is.
California, granted, but it's still huge. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's also similar in the sense that once you leave New York City, you get a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
You should probably just cut this part out because it's not interesting.
Yeah, but it's also going to chew up time. So.
That's true.
So, what other things would you consider to be the nerdiest aspect of just being a music listener? Because having grown up with Deadheads and being an freak myself, like, fandoms are incredibly nerdy.
Oh, yeah. I don't know why I wanted to talk about this, but there was... So, Harry and the Potters, Massachusetts. I grew up in Massachusetts.
Right.
I've seen them so many times because it was every single year after...
Wait, are they from Massachusetts originally? Harry
Yeah.
and the Potters? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, because I remember walking through the Newbury Comics in Providence Place Mall, and they had a couple out, like they had like right up front, new Harry and the Potters album. Like, what the hell is this crap? Like,
Yeah,
I don't think it's actual crap, but you know what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
it's just like, you know.
I'm actually just trying to figure out exactly how many times I've seen them because every single Yule Ball from 7th grade to through college, I went like every year in college.
Yeah.
So that's so many years. And then book releases, they would play at like book release parties. So I'd always go there. I remember one time I saw them in Harvard.
Oh yeah.
Because they played like the book release party. I think it was, I don't know, can't remember which book it was. And then...
Well, didn't they stop? Well, didn't the final book come out when we were like deep into high school by the time the final book came out, right? Like,
I feel like it was... Yeah. I can't remember what year that was.
well, we got the old internet for that one.
Yeah.
What was the name of the last book again? Harry Potter.
The Deathly Hallows.
And the Deathly Hallows. Deathly Hallows release date. It's probably going to give us the name of the movie. July 21st, 2007. So,
Oh, wow.
I had just wrapped up my freshman year of college when that last book came out.
Oh, I was a high school... I was a senior in high school in 2009. Graduated 2009.
Okay.
So it was like a sophomore.
You graduated the same year as my brother.
Ah, nice.
Yeah.
Oh, 09 looking fine.
Yeah, exactly.
But there was one time that I went to go see them. You remember Blue Hills? I don't know if you remember. It was a place to hike in Massachusetts.
I know Blue Hills Pavilion, the one that's in the actual city of Boston, the one...
Oh, no.
Yeah,
no, this
it
is
used
like...
to be Bank of America. Yeah, I think it's Bank of America Pavilion now, but
Yeah,
it's the
this
one
is-
nearby the water.
Yeah, this was like a place to hike outside. I remember one time they had a show where like they hiked with all their fans in Blue Hills and then they played at like the top.
Oh, who, Harry and the Potters?
Yeah, and then hiked back down with them.
That's
It's
actually
such a
kind of cool.
idea.
That's kind of cool. I didn't do this because I didn't have the money for it at the time, but that very same Halloween weekend that Umphrey's played in Boston, if you bought their VIP package, which...
Yeah.
Serious scratch
yeah,
for
yeah.
that one. Serious scratch for that one.
Yeah.
You would not only get 2 tickets for both nights, but you would also get what do you call it? They would go on a tour of Fenway Park with the fans and it's just that's actually fitting for them because unlike a lot of the other bands in the jam band scene, they're actually really big sports fans. In fact,
Yeah.
crazy thing is because most people I know have never heard of Umphrey's McGee, and they're actually... Are you familiar with the show on ESPN Around the Horn?
No.
No. Well, they wrote the theme song for that one because apparently the host is a big fan.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's why I tell people it's like if you watch ESPN, if you've ever seen Around the Horn, you've heard at least one Umphrey's McGee song.
Yeah.
Kind of like how when I ask people who say they don't know who Primus is, I'm like, have you ever watched an episode of South Park?
Yeah.
They did the South Park theme song, which that's another nerd rock band that I would really like to check out too.
Yeah, bass heavy too. Remember we were talking about nobody likes bass?
Yeah, exactly. Because Les Claypool is one of the greatest bass players of all time. Mm-hmm. And I would love to see them in concert. And they're another band. You know what? They've come out with... The last 2 albums that Primus has come out with are actually really nerdy. The first one I want to talk about is they covered the Willy Wonka soundtrack.
That's incredible.
Which, if you know what the Willy Wonka soundtrack sounds like and you know what Primus sounds like, there you go.
Badass.
There you go. Oh, it was great. Les Claypool said he did it because he wanted to, and I quote, take on a sacred cow.
That's awesome.
And the last one that they did was called, what was it called again? Because I listened to it. It was actually pretty unique. Primus discography. What was the name of it? Sailing the Seas of Cheese? No. The Desaturating Seven, which was based on a child's book that Les Claypool read for his children about a bunch of goblins that eat color. Yeah, these are the This is the 9th studio album by American rock group Primus, released on September 29th, 2017. It is the band's first album of original material since 2011's, I can't even pronounce that.
Yeah.
Green, what do you call it? Nag Hydra, and it's the first LP featuring original material with, Tim Alexander since 1995. Tales from the Punch Bowl. Yeah, it's all about, it's just all about a bunch of goblins that want to eat color. It's crazy insane. And of course, it's just amazing because they write songs that have like 7/12 time signatures, and you're like, this is a children's book. Why?
Yeah, that's so badass.
Yeah. No, that's definitely awesome. Here's actually a question for you. You've been playing the guitar for a while. Have you actually ever been in a nerd band like this, or any kind of a band?
I've been in a few. I mean, I was so into Harry and the Potters in middle school that we created Hedwigs. The Hedwigs.
The Hedwigs?
Yeah, we was a rock band where we were like Hedwig, which is Harry Potter's owl.
Oh, okay.
We just wrote songs about how we wanted to like peck his face out and all this stuff. And we were like really in love with Harry Potter.
Do you have any? Are there any recordings up of this? Or?
No. It was middle school, and then I was in another band in middle school. We were called the Midol Junkies.
The Midol Junkies.
Yeah, the Midol Junkies. It was just a girl punk band.
I was about to say that doesn't sound like. What would you sing about then, like, in that, like...
Just, like, being girls. I don't know. I guess it's not really nerdy. It's just so much. It's, like, it was just regular.
Yeah, I know. My brother and I, because my brother plays regular guitar, I played bass guitar. Mm-hmm. We had this kid up the street, a friend of ours, Ben Allard, he lived up the street for us. We tried a couple times to, like, get a band going, but, like, it's so hard being in a band in general. Yeah. And it's also really hard getting along with your brother, especially when... You're 16 and he's 12. Oh. And, like, just a lot of pent-up hormones get unleashed on your little brother.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you don't have any siblings, do you at all? Or?
I have an older sister.
You have an older sister, okay.
Yeah.
The relationship between brothers and sisters is incredibly different because I have a younger sister, too, so I've come to notice it. And it's a lot more violent with brothers.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. My sister was crazy. She used to beat the crap out of me.
Yeah, I guess it's an older sibling thing. I mean... It also didn't help, too, that my brother is 4 years younger than me and is about 5 inches taller than me. So that invokes a lot of, I'm supposed to be the big brother, a lot of insecurities of, I'm supposed to be the big brother, me. Yeah. So then it becomes a lot of very animalistic, I must be at the top, so therefore I must beat him things. But
your balls haven't even dropped, you weirdo.
Exactly. You probably don't even know. You still sound like a 3-year-old girl, buddy. Like, meanwhile, my voice is cracking up and down left and right. Like,
you play ball like a girl.
Which is still a big insult to men, no matter what. No matter what age. It's just like, seriously. But yeah, we were much more into trying to do like Grateful Dead and Led Zeppelin covers and everything like that. Yeah. We never... that was probably... My... dipping my toes into like quote unquote nerdier rock or music in general didn't happen until college when I discovered drugs. So because when I was younger we were all about it was like, hey, let's cover Blitzkrieg Bop by the Ramones, which not for nothing, I don't have any disrespect against the Ramones, but as I've gotten older that kind of music has just become more of a only when I want to go take a trip down memory lane kind of a thing.
Yeah, nostalgic.
Like, nostalgic because like I said, I like them. It's just now that my taste of music has become more about where's the crazy time signatures and everything like that. Yeah. And the Ramones just chugged along with that 4/4 beat. It's just kind of like, gets a little dull quick.
Yeah.
Whatever.
It's definitely simple when you get into more complex talent.
You know what another band actually was like that for me when I was learning how to play the guitar was Nirvana, actually. And I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for this. Fun to listen to, I will say that, fun to listen to, but when you start to learn how to play Nirvana, you're like, oh. Like, when my brother and I learned how to play Smells Like Teen Spirit in about 20 minutes.
Yeah, and when you were in middle school.
Yeah, exactly. When you're supposed to be listening to Nirvana, because you hate your parents.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you hate the world, even though the world hasn't stomped on you yet. So
yeah, I know.
Now that I'm 30, I'm just like, eh.
Yeah, middle school is when you realize that life is terrible.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Collectively, everyone in middle school is like, oh no. What do we do? Bully each other.
There's nothing we can do about each other. I have all these feelings and nobody understands my pain. And then you get older, you're like, nobody cares about my pain.
Yeah.
It's not that we don't understand, kids. It's just we don't care.
Yeah, just nobody cares.
Nobody cares about you. Which is really what Kurt Cobain should have been singing about.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Dun, dun, dun. Nobody cares.
So, what other things would you say constitute as... we were going to talk about this. So what exactly... Because I know what it's like, because I've been to plenty of these concerts. I know what it's like to be a Deadhead, or an Umphrey, or a Fish fan, or whatever. Mm-hmm. What exactly are, like, any kind of traditions, that nerdy or not, that happen at a Harry and the Potters concert? Besides cosplaying. I know that's a given.
Yeah. They're definitely... I mean, some people dress up, some people don't.
Yeah. I mean, for the Umphrey's Halloween concerts, people dress up too, and I was actually upset at myself for this Halloween party because... I got a Scorpion from Mortal Kombat costume, and it wasn't until after the concert I realized I should have also got, like, some kind of bowl, whether it be, like, a smoking pipe bowl, or, like, something that you put soup in kind of bowl, and then I could have run around the concert saying, I am a Scorpion bowl.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn it! Oh my god! And, like, I also said for one of my friends who's a big wrestling fan, like, if I ever take you to an Umphrey's Halloween concert, I want you to wear, like, the very same kind of cap Brian Johnson from AC/DC wears, and I want you to dress up like a wrestler, and you could be Daniel Bryan Johnson.
Yeah, that one's... It seems so much... more adult. Like, Wizard Rock concerts is so innocent. Oh, yeah. But, like no one's gonna be smoking weed at a Wizard Rock concert.
You've already lost me.
Yeah, see? I mean, there are drinks, but they're all, like, Harry Potter... themed drinks.
Did they have the Expecto Patronum?
No, I mean, it was like Phoenix Tears and like Butterbeer.
These sound like really awesome band names, by the way. Phoenix Tears, like.
But you obviously couldn't drink until you were 21. So I remember like when I was old enough to drink, the year of the Yule Ball, I was like, I can buy drinks this year.
Yeah.
But there's never any smoking weed. It's all like. It's very just, like, innocent, magical energy, whereas, like, something like you're talking about, I imagine it's just more like, let's all smoke weed, like, to get together, man, like,
Oh, if you ever go to a Fish concert or a Dead concert and somebody says, do you want to go to, or they're looking for Shakedown Street, say yes, but only if you're really looking for heavy-duty pharmaceuticals.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, yeah, like...
See, that's so much more adult,
It's an interesting thing because, what was I gonna say? Yeah, it's just funny because, like, when you hear about, like, all these stereotypes about going to Dead concerts or Fish concerts, and when you finally go, you're like, oh, so this is true. Like, This is real true. Like, one time we went to a Dead and Company concert at McCoy Stadium in Pawtucket, and we were sitting up, not necessarily in the front row, but we were, like, on the lawn nearby the pit, and shocked to find that somebody was bringing their 10-year-old kid to a concert. We're like, what is going on? Why did somebody bring a kid here? Toss me that joint.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, why would you bring a kid here? I feel like Harry and the Potters is a much more child-friendly thing.
Yeah, there's not, like, a bunch of kids or anything. I mean, like, sometimes there are. It's rare.
You'll probably... do they still tour, Harry and the Potters?
Yeah, I mean, I imagine I think they're still together.
Do they only tour in New England, or are they, like...
No, it's... all over.
They go all over? Good for them. Yeah,
they go all over.
Let's check out their website, actually, see if they're still touring. Let's check this out.
Yeah, I imagine they are.
Harry and the Potters.
Yeah.
I can't type.
I think it's just, like, people that like Harry and the Potters and that go to their concerts, or like Harry Potter in general, I think are just sort of grasping on to innocence and childhood, and before anything was so complicated and terrible.
Right. Maybe. I guess that makes sense, whereas I feel like people who go to my kind of shows, we're just trying to escape reality for a couple hours.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, just straight up, like, we want to be adults, but we don't want to be adults, you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah, it looks like, latest shows, it looks like they don't have anything new coming up, but it looks like they did a bunch of shows in D.C. and Brooklyn and Cambridge. Mm-hmm. Here's the real question. Do they cover the soundtracks to the movies?
No.
They don't? Mm-mm. No, because I've always liked that that Harry Potter theme, that do 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 do.
Yeah.
It just always makes me think of Christmas.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's why they have the Yule Ball. It's right around Christmas time.
Yeah,
And they play all like the Christmas songs, and I think they have an entire Christmas album, and then it's like different Harry Potter themed acts will like show up. Like Potter Puppet Pals would come every year.
The Potter Puppet Pals would show. Oh my god, that's so awesome!
Like Neil would set everything up, and then there would be like an entire Potter Puppet Pals. Like
I loved the Potter. I'm not even a fan of Harry Potter. And I love the Potter Puppet Pals. I thought that stuff was hysterical.
Yeah, it was so great.
Yeah, do they still make that anymore? Like
I don't know.
No, because that was always my favorite one was the Time Bomb one.
Wait, which one was that?
Oh, there's a ticking noise, and everybody in the audience, everyone's like, "What's that ticking noise?" And then finally, it ends with Ron just being like, "I found it." Like they start singing a song, like an a cappella song, and then all of a sudden, Ron is like, "Hey, I found it! It was a pipe bomb!"
Right? Wait, is that the one where it's like Ron,
yeah.
Ron Weasley, and then everyone sings their name?
Yeah, exactly,
yeah.
Harry
That's
Potter,
great.
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there was like bother.
So other than Harry and the Potters, what's another big type of nerd rock band that you could, or just a nerd band in general that you could think of?
So in college, I had my own radio show, and we called it Nerd Your Herd. So we played like a lot of just like nerd music. Like we loved. I know that there was different genres. Like we mostly played like nerdcore, which is like hip hop nerd stuff.
Right. Like MC Chris and stuff.
MC Chris, MC Lars, MC Frontalot, and Whitey Cracker, Shape of the Dark Lord, stuff like that. So all those bands are so awesome and so funny.
I know MC Chris. He also does stand-up comedy too, and I had
no idea.
Yeah, he does a whole thing where he talks about. Did you ever play Resident Evil 4?
No.
He does an entire 5-minute routine. No, I'm sorry. It's not. It's like he talks about both the first Kingdom Hearts game.
Oh, I remember.
And what do you call it? The what do you call it? Final Fantasy. Not Final Fantasy. I was just Resident Evil 4.
Okay.
He talks about both of them. How one's just you go to Steamboat Willie World, and everybody says you want to go to Steamboat Willie World, and you're like, no, I hate Steamboat Willie World.
I feel like I have played Resident Evil 4. Was that a PlayStation game? Because I had PS2.
It was a PlayStation game, and I think they eventually ported it over to the Nintendo Wii.
Oh, okay, yeah, because I remember I had PS2, and I played all the Resident Evil games. I loved the horror survival games.
Did you play the new Resident Evil game? The newest one, Resident Evil 7, Biohazard?
No.
I haven't finished it yet.
Biohazard, that sounds badass.
It's my first actual foray, legitimate foray into Resident Evil games, and it is actually pretty terrifying. It's weird. They're stepping away from the whole Raccoon City thing because this takes place in the bayou of not Louisiana, but what's the state that's nearby it? I think it's Louisiana bayou. I could be wrong. Either way, it's got a very Texas Chainsaw Massacre feel to it, and it's also first person too, which
so
they
cool.
never done. And based on everything I've heard, because the last 6 and 5 just were met with very meh reviews. I think the climax at the end of it is when your main character in 5 punches a boulder, which everyone makes it's dude, seriously, you're punching a boulder, screw you, yeah, it's genuinely terrifying. But
he talks about that stuff in his stand-up. Is
he talks about it's just his whole act. It's talk about not catering to a wide audience. He's talking about something very niche.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh,
but I've heard some of his other. What was it? He also did some stuff for Aqua Teen Hunger Force too. Yeah.
What did he do?
He did
Music?
a couple voiceovers for it.
Oh, that's badass.
Yeah. But actually, speaking of badass things, and nerdy stuff, did you ever watch? I'm assuming you watched a little bit of SpongeBob SquarePants when you were a kid, right?
Yeah.
Did you know that Pantera was on the soundtrack for SpongeBob SquarePants?
No.
Do you remember the episode where Sandy was like, "I gotta get some excitement in my life before I have to go into hibernation"? Do you remember that one?
I don't know if I remember it. It's been so long.
Pantera, SpongeBob. The pre-hibernation. Let me get system preferences. I gotta stop doing this.
I wonder who was the other guy that did all the SpongeBob SquarePants music. The guy in his little uke, I think.
I have no idea. But yeah, where'd the scene go?
I'm gonna tell everyone.
Tiny Tim. I think that's what his name is.
What's his name? Tiny Tim?
I think so.
So picture this only in SpongeBob SquarePants.
That's so funny.
It is my favorite favorite piece of trivia about Pantera. And I'm not even that big of a Pantera fan.
They did music for SpongeBob.
But overall, that's actually another genre of music. Heavy metal in general is just another genre of music that people often don't associate with nerdiness, but it is arguably the nerdiest style of music I can think of, just because of the way everyone dresses in the same thing. There's that heavy metal uniform. The music is actually pretty complicated, and a lot of times I have friends who listen to a lot of Scandinavian folk metal, like in Sifrim and stuff like that, and all they sing about is like Thor. It's like they could probably like soundtrack like all the MCU movies, and it'd be even more awesome.
Why do you think, like, nerd culture even got big to begin with? Like, how did it go from being something that was so bad, like the worst thing, to being like, oh, wow, that's cool?
I think a lot of it has to do with the rise of technology and the internet and everything like that, because it was used to be that whole thing where, like, you know, nerds would just hide away, but then all of a sudden, like, you start seeing, like, all these things pop up, like first off message boards and people starting to actually like get together, and like, you know, you see the rise of like tabletop games and everything like that. I don't know, I couldn't exactly put my finger on it. I think a lot of it might have to do with the fact that because my dad was around when Star Wars first hit the movie theater, and I would actually go Star Trek definitely did have a big aspect, but I want to say like Star Wars really like started pushing everything to the front more so. So I want to say like maybe around, like, not the 90s, but, like, I think people, like, started realizing just, like, what's the difference between people who obsess about, you know, the Star Wars lore versus somebody who can memorize all the statistics about Tom Brady. Like, what's the difference at that point? I don't know. I think also what has to do with it is you started seeing, like, nerds making new technology, and everyone's like, oh, my God, like, nerds can do this stuff. Maybe we shouldn't be dicks to them anymore.
Yeah.
Like, they're making our lives easier.
Yeah. I think, like, maybe it's, like, the idea that everybody sort of, like, roots for the underdog, and then they're rooting for the underdog so much that the underdog just becomes the hero.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like, oh, I like that this person's different, and they're doing this thing that's different. Yeah. They're different from everybody else and different from the norm. And then it's like that becomes so popular that it becomes the norm.
Right.
You know?
Sounds kind of hipsterish when you really think about it. We are just a nation of hipsters. God damn it.
Yeah, it's so true.
Should I just stop showering and let my beard grow out all the way? Like,
oh, yeah, you have to. You have to.
Yeah, exactly.
Mountain man. You know?
Mountain man look. I also need to get those really thick Ray-Ban glasses too, right?
Yeah, yeah.
The super thick ones,
yeah. You gotta wear, like, a lot more flannel.
A lot more flannel? I mean, I saw my fair share of flannel when I was living up in Vermont, so...
Maybe a man bun?
Maybe a man bun?
Yeah.
I think I'm going to draw the line at the man bun. I will totally draw the line. No, I'll do the man ponytail.
Oh,
I'll do the man
pony.
The man pony. But I will not do the man bun. That is just... I'm above that.
I feel like if you have that man pony, though, you're going to lose in a fight. Because he's going to pull your hair. And that's it.
I don't know. The way men... It's weird. It's so weird, like... When men fight each other, we have, like, these silly rules that we just don't abide by, and one of them is always no hitting below the belt and no hair pulling for some reason. But my attitude is always, there's no ref.
Yeah, that's
true.
true.
No ref, no rules. I'm doing whatever I can to win.
That's true.
Yeah, but I mean...
you kick a guy in the balls, that's game
just,
over.
For some reason, that's just considered to be, like, the most offensive thing you can do in a fight. It's just like, I'm like, how about no? He's trying to knock me on the ground, I'm trying to knock him on the ground, but he's bigger than me.
Yeah.
So... I'm doing whatever I can to win, but
I always heard go for the balls. Well, that's what I was told.
Well, you're a girl.
If you're being attacked.
Yeah, you're a girl, so that was like unless you're some woman who also can like go toe to toe with like some MMA fighter, like that's pretty much your best defense.
Yeah. Just hit him in the balls.
Just hit him in the balls.
I remember the first time I ever I was like, how? I realized you had to kick a lot further up than I thought.
Wait, where did you?
I don't know. First time I ever tried to kick someone in the balls, I was like, oh wow, that's far up there.
I mean, now it almost sounds like you lost your foot in a vagina.
Thing was, he had a vagina. No.
No, he didn't have balls. He had a vagina.
Yeah.
I was fighting a hermaphrodite.
Yes. And I had to go really deep in there. That's funny.
Yeah. Sounds like Tuesday nights.
Right.
I have no idea what that means. What would you say? Okay, so here's an interesting thought. What would you say is one of the more annoying aspects of the nerd fandoms of any kind of genre of music or any particular band? Like, what's the one thing that happens at pre, during, or post Harry and the Potter shows that you just kind of like roll your eyes at?
Oh, good question. I think you should go first.
Okay.
And then I'll think about it.
For me, when it comes to Umphrey's concerts, because sometimes after I go to a show, I will occasionally like go on Reddit or whatever and read the message boards. And there's at least one person who's like, why were so many people shoving? I'm like, dude, we're packed in like sardines. What do you expect?
Yeah.
It's like sometimes people just don't really seem to understand, like, there are only certain things that we can do. We only have so much space.
Yeah.
So it's like, there's also that, and I guess across the board, like, bands do tend to lose fandoms just because they want to try something new, which, to a point, I understand. Like, I'm not going to lie to you, Umphrey's has come out with 2 albums this year, and I'm not exactly crazy about them, but for me, push comes to shove at the end of the day. So long as they're still putting on kick-ass shows, I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, I've even heard some of the songs off the new albums, and they actually sound better live than they do in the studio.
Yeah.
So that doesn't bother me as much, but it's a weird thing because, like, it almost is along the lines of, like, how, you know, like, you and I are from, like, a very sports-heavy area. Like, pretty much if you don't like any one of the big four sports teams, you're the weirdo.
Yeah, yeah.
No matter whether you're a nerd or a jock, you're a weirdo if you don't like the Pats, the Sox, the Celtics, or the Bruins.
Yeah.
And if you like the Revolution, like, why? But the thing I'm trying to get at, though, mostly is, like, you know, like, I understand the whole logic of if you don't root for your team at their worst, you don't deserve them at their best. But for me, it's like, that's a product.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't want to waste my time with a bad product. Mm-hmm. So I won't watch the Red Sox or the Patriots if they're not playing well, because then it's just like, I could do something else with my time, you know?
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's a similar thing. I understand it with, like, bands and stuff where it's like, the new album comes out, it's not that good, and I'm just like, I get it why you're not digging this, but I've seen Umphrey's in concert twice since they came out with one of the albums, and like I said, they still put on a good show, so they're still going to get my money in that regard.
Yeah.
Plus, it's also a little different nowadays, too, with things like Spotify and Apple Music, where you can just pay $10 a month and stream whatever you want. So for me, it's a little bit more bearable. Had I actually paid the $10, $20 to buy just those that one album, I'd have been mad. I'd have been more upset. You know what I mean? So it kind of, like, we live in this era where it's so easy to, like, access music that, you know, like, the whole cost of it has just kind of become moot. Almost, or less of a factor, you know? Yeah.
And then bands, you know, stop making money from just their music. They have to make their money other ways.
Right, exactly.
You know, like you said, like the VIP package at Fenway. It's like,
exactly.
Because no one's buying the music. They got to do something.
Yeah, I mean, well, most bands, ever since, like, the 90s, I want to say, bands have been making more money on tour than they do from the studio albums.
Right, yeah.
Unless, of course, they own the record label, but that doesn't happen too often nowadays.
Yeah. It's a lot of, like, merch sales that sort of get bands through tour.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, also kind of what gets through a lot of comedians through tour as well.
True. Like, yeah, it's merch sales.
Merch sales. Note to self, get merch.
Yeah, buy merch from your favorite bands or comedians. Support them.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah. So, what would you say is your least favorite thing about going to, like, say, a Harry and the Potters concert, or just any band in general? Because
I think it's like you just have to prepare yourself for what you're getting into, and you know what to expect. You know, like, you go to a punk show, you know you might get hit in the face with a table.
Right.
You know, you go to, like, a Harry and the Potters show, you know that people are gonna be just, like, innocent, just kids, just weird kids. But at the same time, like what you were saying, like, you put any group of strangers and make them go shoulder to shoulder with each other, they're gonna be pissed off at some point. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's cramped, you know. But I think, like, I don't know, a Harry and the Potter show, it's just like most of the time people are just happy to be there. But yeah,
fair enough.
It's cramped. You know?
It's cramped, but I mean,
You
like
know,
I was saying though, it's like, dude, no, duh, people were shoving. We're cramped. We're sardines. Like,
yeah, I think that a lot of Harry and the Potter's fans probably don't wear deodorant.
Neither do fish fans.
Yeah. You're like, dude, what is this?
Yeah, no.
You know, if someone farts in a mosh pit, you can't escape. You're kind of there. You're trying to breathe over it, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. And unfortunately, smell rises, so.
Yeah, exactly. You can't escape it. That's one thing about any mosh pit.
Exactly. Know? Though not too many mosh pits happen at the concerts I go to frequently.
Oh, really?
Do they happen a lot at Harry and the Potter concerts?
It's not like I hesitate to say mosh pit. I just mean like a group of people that are shoulder to shoulder.
When you say mosh pit, I'm thinking like Lamb of God getting their punches. Open up that pit.
Yeah, no, nothing like that. Nothing like that. People barely move in those crowds.
Oh, okay. Because I've seen Dropkick Murphys twice. One time I saw them actually at McCoy Stadium, and yeah, there were a couple there were a couple pits going.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were a couple pits going. One of the more, I want to call it disorganized, but I saw Hammerfall, which is I want to say they're a European heavy metal band. I saw them at the Whiskey about a year ago.
Nice.
And it was an interesting experience for me because I'm not a huge metalhead, but like I went because a friend of mine came in from Vegas and I just wanted to hang out with him. Mm-hmm. But those crowds move. Like, they move like a very disorganized ocean in the sense that everyone is just like... The best way I can explain it is, like, the first time I saw Dropkick Murphys, the mosh pits were very well organized, as in, like, there were sections, like, there were definitely, like, circles, and, like, people were just like, okay, if you don't want to be in the pit, walk away from here.
Yeah.
The second time I saw the Dropkick Murphys, I saw them up in Burlington, Vermont. There weren't a whole lot of mosh pits. In fact, the only thing I can truly remember is it was one guy, a couple rows behind me, drunk off his ass, trying to be a one-man mosh pit. Mm-hmm. That was annoying.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, nobody else wants to mosh. Time to stop. Like, back away.
Yeah.
But when I went to go see Hammerfall, there were no circles, but it just felt like everyone wanted to mosh.
Yeah.
And I'm just kind of like, I'm more of a guy that, like, prefers to, like, when I go to shows, I almost, something I don't necessarily want to dance, it's just, like, part of me almost kind of wants to, like, be in a corner and just, like, observe the music and everything like that more than like be a part of everyone else, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, so, I don't mind. I like being up front.
No, I like being up front
if being up front means like I
didn't literally mean like in a corner. I didn't literally mean
like
in my own world. Like
yeah.
It's like, don't talk to me. I'm busy studying the music. I'm watching this. So.
Yeah, that's sort of how I feel. It's like it's for me like the music that you can go to a show and just scream the lyrics out, you know. And then, like, look at the person that wrote it, and that's great. Exactly. You know?
Lock eyes with them, realize we're soulmates and meant to be together forever.
It's just like, this is connection,
man. You understand me!
Yeah, the song, like, got me through so much, and we're connecting, and I know what you went through, and I know what you went through, and it's like...
Exactly. Do you collect things? What's your favorite piece of memorabilia to collect from some of your bands? Because collections are actually a big part of being a nerd in general. So
yeah, that's true. I don't know. I used to have a comic book collection, but I got rid of it and sell it. You were drinking out of a Harry and the Potter's mug right now.
I am drinking out of a Harry and the Potter's mug. Wait, so did Harry and the Potters have their own comic book collection?
No. I'm trying to think of memorabilia.
I'm talking specifically for the bands that you go to.
I don't collect many things at all.
Really?
Yeah, I don't really.
I usually get the concert poster.
Oh, yeah, that's dope.
Yeah, that is dope. It's just, I haven't gotten one in a little while because, first off, I still need to buy a bunch of frames for a lot. I have like 13 posters that I still need to get framed, and some of them are like 6 years old.
Yeah.
I bought them like 6 years ago. The other thing, though, too, is my ratio of Umphrey's posters to every other band is incredibly lopsided. It's like I have... Of those, like, 12 posters I still need to get framed, I think, like, 8 of them are Umphrey's posters.
Yeah.
And, like, the other four, like, I think there's, like, one Widespread Panic poster in there, like, a Fish poster in there and everything like that. But
yeah.
That stuff adds up, so that's also another reason why I've had to, like, take a back seat to it. I used to collect T-shirts a lot, but The problem with T-shirts is, although they're great to wear, they fade after a couple of washes.
Yeah.
That's the thing. So that's why I switched over to posters, because they can last longer.
Yeah. I like wearing band tees because it's like, I feel like there's so much expression that can happen just from like, this is the band that I like listen to and love. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think music's so important, and when you like meet someone that like listens to the bands that you listen to, you're like, holy shit, this is friendship for life, man.
Exactly. Especially when they're the more obscure bands. Like,
yeah. I
mean, how often do you walk down the street and you see someone wearing like AC/DC, the Beatles?
Right.
Don't get me wrong, love those bands too,
yeah.
but like, I walk down the street and I see somebody wearing like an Umphrey's t-shirt, or like even like one of the more obscure bands, or like Primus. I'm like, dude, high five. Like,
yeah.
I don't know you. I don't know your name, nor do I care. Just, we're friends now.
Yep, that is like immediate friendship for me as well. I mean, if someone's wearing an Against Me shirt or front bottom shirt, I'm like, we are bonded for life now.
Exactly.
And you can never escape.
Exactly.
That's what it is. Music really connects people. Mm-hmm. I think that's why, like, you know, all these like cultures and subgenres are like happening. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like the Grateful Dead that's a culture. That's a group, you know?
Deadheads could form their own nation if they really wanted to.
Yeah.
I don't know. I live with a couple. So
yeah.
Brothers are huge. Like, pretty much everybody except for me in the family is a huge Deadhead.
Yeah. See, with the Grateful Dead, it just reminds me of my parents. Like, my parents are both musicians, and my dad's band played with the Grateful Dead, and then he was telling me this story. He was like, yeah, we were hanging out in this empty house and shooting holes in the wall with guns, and I was like, what?
Wait, okay, hold on. You need to actually, I need to get your dad on, or you need to tell me the story, this actually, where was this happening? When did this happen? Was Jerry there?
Like the 70s. I don't know. It's like I didn't really inquire any more about it, because it's just like, you know, when your parents like something, you're like, ugh.
Oh, I hated the Dead
you know what I mean?
I hated the Dead forever. Like,
yeah.
I hated pretty much like from middle school until like halfway through college. I couldn't stand the Dead just because my dad liked them so much.
Yeah.
Now I'm just kind of like, this. I mean, I'm still not a huge fan, but now I'm at a point. But it's become now so that you see, I love rock and roll so much. Like, I love learning about the history of rock and roll, and since that I've gotten more into the jam scene, it's like I've grown to appreciate the Dead's significance in history, because, you know, without the Grateful Dead, there's no Fish. Without Fish, there's no Mo. Without Mo, there's no Umphrey's McGee. So it's kind of like, I like seeing like the track of like how things evolve and everything like that.
Yeah.
Know? And I also like seeing how people split off and like also try and like combine genres, like, because you know what you don't really see too much of anymore? You don't see like that whole new metal movement anymore. Like, remember like 1997 to like 2003 when everyone was like trying to be Limp Bizkit?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And it's just weird because like, I think at that time was a perfect, because heavy metal was still kind of in the mainstream, or like heavy music was still in the mainstream.
Yeah. And
rap was in the mainstream, and rap was also at its angriest at the time.
Yeah.
So it just made sense to slam heavy metal and rap together.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That makes complete sense. What is some mainstream like rock artists now? I feel like I hear a lot of like hip hop and stuff.
They're not there anymore. Like,
I can't name one rock artist.
Last year, it was a big deal because it was the first time in like 6 years that two rock bands, Portugal the Man and Imagine Dragons, broke the top 10 on the Billboard Hot 100. It was the first time in years that it had happened. Mm-hmm. And ever since then, we haven't had much of anything else. And this was like a year ago.
I mean, like Lumineers is folk. You know, The National, I guess, is kind of like alt rock.
I don't even know too much about them. Like, I remember when I was in college, one of my friends said that, who was that band that was huge? This Sex is on Fire.
Yeah.
What's their name? I know it. It's on the tip of my tongue, and somebody's gonna say it.
Oh my god, why am I blanking now?
This Sex is on Fire lyrics by Kings of Leon.
Yeah, Kings of Leon. I liked them a lot.
Yeah. Like, no disrespect to anybody who likes Kings of Leon. It's just I remember somebody saying, like, these guys saved rock. I was like, these guys just sound a little bit more folky, but with electric guitars.
Yeah, man. It's weird. You're right. I guess Portugal the Man, Imagine Dragons. Is there any... Yeah, hip-hop's kind of taken over.
It's not even real hip-hop, too. It's like that mumble rap stuff.
Yeah. Mumble rap. That's a whole genre? That's awesome.
Yeah. no, it's like everyone loves that Gucci Gang, Gucci Gang, Gucci Gang. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's just so dumb. Like, I'm sorry, I can't swallow it just because, like, I don't know, I'm just not into it. It's not my thing.
I don't listen to the radio anymore. I don't think a lot of people do.
I don't listen to the radio anymore either. Like,
everyone's so individual now.
are you actually, speaking of nerdy things and music and stuff, are you familiar with the YouTube personality Todd in the Shadows?
No.
You should check him out. Actually, he specializes in he analyzes music.
Oh, that's
and
so cool.
He is very detailed and very specific with it. His most recent video, I can't remember what he just talked about. Give me 1 second here, I'll look that up. But he talks about 2 of the pop songs that are big on the radio right now. In the Middle by Zed and Meant to Be. Basically, he talks about them. Basically, he opens up with saying, like, because he used to do pop song reviews more often. Now he's just mainly been doing, like, retrospectives and one-hit wonders and everything like that. He says right at the beginning, like, I don't have as much to work with because pop music radio stations just aren't playing that stuff anymore.
Yeah.
Aren't playing the stuff for him to analyze anymore. But, yeah, he's great. You should check him out. Like, one of my favorite things he talks about is he goes, he did Float On? I forgot about that. But at any rate, he does Pepper. He covered Pepper by the Butthole Surfers.
That's cool.
And my favorite line is, he goes like, they were buttholes who surfed. Or they were surfers who rode buttholes. It's all up for interpretation.
That's so awesome.
But he's great. Like, you should check him out. He definitely does a lot of interesting things when he talks about music. But, like, he talks about mumble rap, and he says, I can't stand it. He's like, I give those 14-year-olds credit because at least they're creating something, but it's just...
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I can't.
Yeah, it's like musical ability is sort of out the window at this point. It's like, you know, it's not as important as it used to be. You know, like you were saying you're in a jam band stuff. That's like musical talent.
That's
ability.
just jazz. That's just jazz with more electric guitars, really. That's all it is. Like, yeah, and like that's the kind of stuff. Or like, I was actually listening to Rush on the car ride over here. I was listening to 2112. That's a 20-minute song. And like, I actually speak with, like, this is just the kind of person I am. Like, since I started listening to jam bands and everything like that, is I've learned that there is no different, for me personally, when it comes to listening to music, that there's little to no difference between if you give me, you know, 10 2-minute songs back to back or one 20-minute song. Like, to me, it's all the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's weird. Like you look at like you were saying, like, you know, Nirvana and the Ramones. It's so easy to play, and then the people that like you can really tell that they have this musical ability and talent is like, you know, like John Mayer, Dave Matthews Band. Because when I try to play one of their songs, I'm like, oh wow, this is crazy.
Oh, one of the best moments
These are
of
jazz chords and all this other stuff.
As a bass player, one of my proudest moments was actually, I can't do it anymore now, but when I actually learned how to play Money by Pink Floyd the whole way through. Which is an interesting song because it starts off in a 7/4 time signature and it loop. I mean, it sticks around that 4th time signature, but like it loops around. I think at one point it hits like a 12/8 or something like that. But
wow, that's so cool.
Yeah, exactly. Like when I learned how to play Texas Flood by Stevie Ray Vaughan, that song is in a 12/8 like throughout. Like that was a tough one to learn how to play, but when I did, I was like, oh man, this is awesome. Like everything's just in a 4/4 beat now. So.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. I don't know if I'm so much of a music lover. I feel like I'm more of like a lyric lover. Like I'll listen to songs that are people are like, what is this bullshit? But I'm like, listen to what they're saying, man. Like this is revolutionary.
I get that, and like I've actually talked to I've actually spoken with some people about it, how there's just like 2 different types of people. There are those that listen to the beats, and then there are those that listen to the lyrics.
Yeah.
I'm definitely much more of a
musician.
Yeah. I like because that's the thing about people give Fish a lot of flack because they have one song called Run Like an Antelope, and all they really say throughout it is just run, 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 run. That's it.
Yeah.
That's like, but like I don't care because everything else about it, like the time signatures that they go through, like the movements that they take the guitars through, that makes up for it.
Right.
I mean, they also do have another. There are plenty of songs that Fish do in that similar vein that I can't stand. Like they have one called David Bowie. Where literally all they just say is David Bowie, you'll be 40. David Bowie, you'll be 40. David Bowie, over and over again. Like that's where Fish gets their flack, and I totally understand it. It's like a lot of times their lyrics are just goofy.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
yeah.
I feel like they did that on purpose. So
yeah. But it's like that's not what's important to them, and that's not what's important to their fans.
No, exactly.
You know?
What's important to them and their fans is the musicianship.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Great lyrics are important too. Don't get me wrong. Like But I mean, like, how many bands or songs have you listened to on the radio? Or actually, you know what? I should start that over again. What I always find interesting is when people are clever enough to take one style of music and make it sound upbeat and happy, but at the same time, the lyrics are just so dark and depressing. Like, what's that big song by Third Eye Blind, Semi-Charmed Kind of Life?
Yeah.
That song's all about a meth addict.
Yeah.
But it sounds so happy.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so happy. It's like, thank you, major chords. Like,
Yeah, seriously. I know I'm a lover of words, man. I'm like, music, comedy, I love words, you know?
You know what you and I should do? We need to get somebody who can play drums.
Right?
And maybe even a lead singer. I'll get a new bass, and we should form like a comedy band.
Oh my gosh, I've tried to do that so many times.
I'd be down for it, but like, you can worry about the lyrics all you want. I'll handle all the time signatures and everything.
Yeah,
like
see, I'm gonna write those jokes. That's my thing with musical comedy and serious music.
Well, the most important rule of musical comedy is you can make the lyrics about whatever you want, but you need to take the actual beats and everything seriously.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I know people are like, oh, like, musical comedy, everyone sucks at music. It's like, but you don't have to be. You don't have to suck at it.
No, exactly. Like,
you can be really good and also be funny. Like,
yeah, exactly. We could be Kelsey and the Strap-Ons.
That is so on brand.
I think we're all set there.
Yeah.
I think on that note, yeah, I mean, I don't think there's much else we really need to talk about right now.
Yeah, if anyone wants to, this podcast, well, my refrigerator's being quite loud, but this podcast sparked me to recreate a playlist of a bunch of nerd music. So if you want to follow it, just like look me up on Spotify, and there's a playlist called Nerd You Heard that I made. So
okay, yeah,
follow that shit.
I'll leave the link to it. Send me the link to it. I'll put it in the description.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, do you have any shows you want to plug coming up right now at all? Or?
Oh, boy. What am I doing? I don't even know if there's anything worth mentioning that's too crazy coming up.
I need to get myself booked on some shows. I've been busy the past few weeks.
Yeah.
I was just out of town in Palm Springs actually seeing Billy Idol with my girlfriend, so.
Oh, nice. Billy Idol?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, Ruby Queer Festival, June 9th. I'm doing Roast Battle on the Comedy Store June 12th. So
June 12th?
just,
okay.
Yeah, follow me. I'm at It's Kelseyland on everything. It's kelseyland.com. I don't know.
Okay, it's kelseyland.com. And those of you who listen, all 5 of you on a regular basis now, Kyle Daley Comedy for Twitter and Instagram.
Hell yeah.
And also Kyle Daley Comedian on Facebook. And there's also the Daily Chat podcast and Twitter and Facebook. But I don't know how much longer that's going to stay up because I have such a hard time forgetting that it exists. I haven't updated it in a while.
It's hard. It's hard to stay on top of it. It's
also hard, too, just because it's kind of like, I think I just want to like narrow everything down to just one brand name, which would just be Kyle Daley Comedy. So
yeah, I'll
keep people posted on that one, but I'm thinking at some point I'm just going to close both those accounts down and just transfer everything over just strictly to my Kyle Daley Comedy. Because the weird thing is, it's like I have my accounts, Kyle Daley Comedy accounts, linked to my Twitter. So when I post something on Twitter or Instagram, it automatically goes to my Facebook too. Mm-hmm. Couldn't also link the Kyle Daley Comedy stuff together either. So yeah, whatever's gonna make my day easier, I'm doing it. I don't care what anybody else says. So
yeah, they say that like you should have the same handle for everything, which is tough because you're like, oh man.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I just recently changed my Twitter handle to Kyle Daley Comedy. So. All right, Kelsey, that's going to do it. Thank you very much for having us.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you. Happy 50th.
Definitely want to see if I can get you on again at some other point in time. All right, everybody, that's going to do it. Bye.
Bye.
Hi, everyone. Kyle Daley here. Just wanted to say that since the recording of this podcast, I got booked to do a show at Flappers Comedy Club in Burbank, California. I'm going to leave a link in the description below for you guys to buy tickets. Hope you can make it. Thanks very much. Have a wonderful day.